Hello everybody, welcome back to another video, this time in the JA37C Viggen. Before we get into things though, I just want to thank you guys for smashing 500 subscribers. I'm trying to reach 1,000 by the end of the month, so if you aren't subscribed and you're watching this video, it would mean the world to me if you subscribed. That being said, let's get into it. As it stands in War Thunder, the Viggen right now can carry the export versions of 4 AIM-9Js and 2 Skyflash missiles. Or you can take rocket pods, but they're not very useful as an air-to-air loadout. It also comes sporting an internal 30mm cannon. The air targets belts shoots the same high explosive round as the A-10 Warthog, but personally I like using the ground target belts with the semi-armor piercing high explosive incendiary rounds. That is a mouthful. But the rounds still do really good damage to planes, setting basically anything on fire and exploding it to pieces, and it's a lot better for taking out ground targets. Now, you can see me here going intermittently in and out of Afterburner, because the Viggen does have really high fuel consumption. However, I like to take the maximum fuel load and go on Afterburner for as long as I can, because on the deck, the Viggen is, I think, the second fastest plane in the game. I put my radar into ACM mode here to lock up this Tomcat. I launch a Skyflash at him, and it's able to net me a kill. But I have to rapidly evade here, because if I hadn't dragged that AIM-7F into the ground, it probably would have blown my plane to smithereens. I'm extending away from this Tomcat here because I don't want to end up in a dogfight with that guy. Which fortunately leads me to this guy out here in the middle of nowhere. I tried to get an ACM lock, but I've closed the distance too fast. In the wise words of Lightning McQueen, I am speed. Fortunately, I can just 180 this guy. The Viggen actually has fairly decent energy retention for a delta-winged fighter. And this guy has no object permanence, so I'm just able to launch an AIM-9J at him, and that's another kill. I charged down this F-14 that tried to get away from us, and he actually ends up going vertical, which isn't a very good move when you have like 6 different guys on your tail. I launch an AIM-9J at him, and he actually manages to flare it, which is pretty uncommon for an F-14. And here's Exhibit A in Viggen Gun. The thing is, it has different ballistics compared to literally any other of the 30 mils in the game, so I have no clue where this thing is going. I can only guess. Speaking of no clue where things are going, I have no idea what that Skyflash was up to. It just kind of swerved off to Narnia for no reason, and I don't know why. Unfortunately, this means we don't get the kill on that MiG-23, and this is something that'll just happen every once in a while in using the Skyflash. Also, despite being power crept, one thing I will give the AIM-9J is that it's pretty decent at reaching out to longer ranges and hitting targets that I wouldn't take shots on with, say, a Magic or an R60. It's not a naval Sidewinder or a PL5 by any means, but it definitely gets the job done sometimes. Skipping the ground pounding, off to our right is an F4C, who ended up being the last person on the team. Now, this guy doesn't have any flares, so he really just doesn't stand a chance. Plus, I'm much faster than him. I just go 180 here, and Exhibit B in Viggen Gun. I probably could have had that kill if I was more well-versed in it, or at least knew where the ballistics were. Don't worry, though. To compensate for not hitting any gunshots that game, I'll put this clip in here. I'm chasing down these Tomcats here, who have been kinda passive the whole time. He's 90 degrees, so I can't get a radar lock, so I'm gonna have to go for guns here. I spray a little bit, and yeah, that's a dead Tomcat. That whole thing is built out of fuel tanks. Also, one thing to note is that the Viggen has large caliber countermeasures, which lets you pop one flare and get rid of most infrared missiles. I'm including this game here because this is what your average engagement into a furball looks like. I lock up the F4J here, and I full commit this because I know that the Skyflash moves faster than the AIM-7F and will let me win that joust there. A couple people die in front of me, and I go to lock up this F-14, but he's actually flying away from me, so I launch an AIM-9J. I think it'll hit, but I turn in just in case because I'm not 100% confident. Luckily, though, the AIM-9J has deceptive range, and the first one hits, letting me save the second missile. I lock up this A10 here now, but a Sky Flash isn't going to cut it, and I had the wrong missile selected. So I'm going guns here. I'm not scared of the AIM-9L in the head-on, because the large caliber flares really gives me some leeway there. I now have the opportunity to run down this A7. The A10 in the background dies because he took too much critical damage from my 30 mil. I try and get a Sky Flash lock here, but it's not giving me tone, and I'd rather not waste a missile. He's staying perpendicular to my radar, so I can't get another lock, and my rudder's starting to get a little wonky because of the speeds. Luckily, my teammate's able to clean him up, and that's the match. Like most games, I rush in on the deck here, and based off of the positioning of the person I just locked, I'm pretty sure it's an F-14, which is later confirmed by the fact that he just fired off 2 Phoenixes. Now, luckily, most F-14 players don't really know how to dodge radar missiles, so I get a free pick on a Tomcat, which is a pretty important kill here. You gotta watch out sometimes though. If you dive back down to the deck, the Viggen does compress a little bit. I almost hit the ground there, but only bad players hit the ground. I would never do that. I lock up somebody else here, and I'm not really sure who it is, but they're coming at such an angle that I think this Sky Flash will still hit. It's an F8U2 Crusader, which is the variant that has radar warning receiver, so I don't really know what's up with that kill. I personally wouldn't have died there, but maybe he's just a fan of eating Sky Flashes to the face. I don't judge. Regardless, I'm turning back around now, and I have a radar lock on my 6. There's an F-14 trying to shoot an AIM-7F behind me, and like Icarus, I fly a little too close to the sun, so I have to go evasive here. This is how you dodge an AIM-7F. You have to outroll it, and you have to pull really hard. Not every aircraft can do it, but luckily I'm in the Viggen, which has decent enough pull that I'm able to get out almost unscathed. The F-14 goes vertical here and then pulls away, which is the correct play. I'm pretty slow after having to dodge his AIM-7F, and also because he's flying into the sun, my AIM-9J is just completely unable to track him. I go to launch a second missile at him, but I have no clue how far away he is anymore. He went unspotted, which isn't good for me, and I don't know if that missile's going to be able to hit, which it looks like it doesn't. Luckily, he is going to go over this ridgeline here, and then he pulls back the other direction to try and go get a kill on the MiG-21 or something. I don't know, yet another moment of F-14 players not having object permanence. But once he gets within 2.5 kilometers, and I launch a little sooner to get a higher probability of kill, I'm able to just launch another AIM-9J at him, and he goes boom. I don't want you to come out of this thinking that it's just F-14 players that don't remember that you just pulled behind them, though. Because most F-14 players come from the F-5C. This guy pulls directly in front of me, and I get a rear aspect AIM-9J shot, which just completely misses for no reason. He doesn't even flare or anything, but it's one of the reasons why I think the AIM-9J has really fallen off as a top-tier missile. Now, there's quite a few people behind me that I'd rather not be the target of, so I'm just going to extend away to these more juicier targets. I lock up the MiG-21 here, and unfortunately it doesn't last. Though, I'm able to just queue up an AIM-9J, and I launch here on the MiG-21. I consider launching on the F5, but I don't think it would hit, and then there's just an A5 completely stalled out in front of me. Another free kill. So why do I feel like nobody's playing the Viggen? Well, one, it's just the fact that Sweden isn't a major nation. Not very many people have grinded to the top tiers of Sweden, meaning the number of Viggen players that are possible is not as high as something as the Tomcat or the MLD. Plus, objectively speaking, there really isn't much that the Viggen does than other top tiers that they can't do better. It gets outgunned by a lot of missile buses like the F-14 Tomcat, the MiG-23 MLD, even stuff like the J7E. I would rather have those 4 consistent missiles than 6 inconsistent missiles. And it doesn't have the best dogfight performance either. It can pull decent AOA, but it isn't better than dedicated AOA fighters. It really does just rely on its high speeds and slightly above average armament. Finally, and I don't think this one is as big, But it is still worth noting that Sweden is kind of a dead tech tree right now. There isn't much they can add in terms of top-tier vehicles. The only thing they can really do right now is add better versions of the Viggen, like the JA37D, or adding a sub-tech tree for Finland into the Swedish tech tree, which would add stuff like the J35F2, which is a Draken that comes with flares and the upgraded pylons letting it carry 6 missiles. Other than that, though, there really isn't much that this tree can do in terms of growth. That's all for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff if you liked the video. Also, I just once again want to reiterate, thank you guys so much for smashing 500 subscribers. I really didn't think it would happen so fast, but I want to keep up this breakneck pace. I want to try and hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the month. Also, remember, I have a Discord server. It's a rapidly growing community of active War Thunder players, and if you want to be a part of that, make sure to click the link in the description. Finally, I had somebody ask me about Patreon, which, I mean, I wasn't even thinking about, but I don't know. I might look into starting a page. I don't want to feel like money hungry, but also having any support I can always helps me make these videos faster. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye-bye.